Okay, shooters, on the beep, you're going to draw and fire 5 shots. 5 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it?
Got it.
I'm going to give you a hard time about this for a long time, kid. All right, shooters, stand by. Ooh. I held that mic or that beep up to my mic just so you guys could hear how much time they got done. So you were done in 3:31. 3:31. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Neil and the range monkey Natalie and Christopher Bean, old leather belly himself.
It's gonna stick.
Please make that stick. Can we really quickly tell you before we run anything else, leather belly is because you don't wear an undershirt.
Yeah, I don't wear an undershirt, and I run like silicone carbide grips.
Yeah,
so I have actually scars on my stomach from.
Please call him leather belly. I love it. Some fan came up with that, or some sub. I don't know if he's a fan or not. Maybe he hates you, but I think it's hilarious.
Probably
leather belly. Anyway,
but obviously I'm thick-skinned.
Yes, right on, there you go. All right, hey, welcome back, you guys. We're out here in Kansas. We're teaching a class this weekend. We're making some content beforehand. This is stage 3 of the FBI qual, which is a 3-part stage. First part of the stage is draw and fire 5 shots from the holster in 5 seconds.
At 7 yards.
At 7 yards. Yeah, 7 yards. I say, yeah, you got it. So come along with us here. We're going to talk about this and break this down just a little bit, give you some homework, and then move you on with the challenge. And we'll see you here in a second.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills, and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
So Chris, you guys got that done in 3:31.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are high-end shooters. That's, I think we all know that, or at least you consider yourself far above average. And some days we're elite in some things and we're pretty good above average in other things. But at 7 yards, the challenge starts to change and the problems are a little different because now we have to start using some different techniques to actually get good hits. I'll show you the targets here in a minute, but they got their hits. What are you focused on when you hear shooter ready, stand by?
Yeah, especially when I'm at 7. So now you're at the point in the FBI qualification where distance kind of matters.
Yep.
From 5 yards and in, you can run a lot off your optic housing, things like that. At 7 yards, you kind of start needing to see feedback from your dot.
Yep.
And controlling it and riding it. So for me, it's just a matter of, especially from a draw, wanting to understand what I want to see before I start going. Once the gun's out and I'm going, I kind of just go. But making sure, getting it correct. If I need to make a correction, make the correction and just hold everything kind of tight.
Yeah. Natalie, how about you? What are you thinking about when you're doing this?
Well, I was trying to have all of my shots be very rhythmic and also try to take up all of my time so that I can get my hits. Because, we've had a couple of Charlies throughout the qual, and I'd like to clean those up a little bit. So I was, I got my ears turned down and I'm just kind of focused on trying to make it all one fluid motion.
It's the beauty of actually, we can do all of this in dry fire, and we have, and we've proven it. But coming out and actually practicing the different stages and the different steps of each stage gives you a chance to do some of that stuff and think through that kind of thing. And I know if when John and I take a class and he's talking trash to me, first thing I do is reach up and just turn off my ears. I'm like, dude, I gotta focus.
Now he knows the secret.
He knows. He's seen me do it because he'll stop talking then in a lot of cases. But that's just one of those things. Like, okay, I know you want to get in my head, but I'm competitive and I'm going to beat you today, and I'm going to get dialed in. So turning that down after I was giving you a hard time is very similar to what
I had it turned down before.
That's
why I couldn't hear you give me the hard time.
I had that coming. So the other thing is, it's okay to have fun on the range.
Yeah.
It's completely okay to have fun on the range. I don't want people to come into our classes and be, jackwagons the entire time and everything's a joke, but it's okay to smile. It's okay to have fun.
Sure.
And when you're taking classes with your best friends and your family and all the things, it's okay to have fun and smile once in a while too. So I hate it when people take it so seriously. Nobody, at least for the three of us, nobody's job is on the line if we fail this qual.
Right.
Imagine the pressure if you're an FBI agent. We'll talk about that probably closer to the end. But so now we're really focusing on, again, a good grip. Now we're focusing on reading our sights a little bit more. We're not using the gun as an index. And what other things? So you talked about a good rhythm. Are you talking like your cadence, and you're wanting to follow a cadence? The challenge that I have with that with some folks is they follow a cadence and not their dot. And if you're not reading your dot or your front sight, a cadence can give you a whole bunch of bad shots too.
Sure.
And so you have to kind of do some confirmation in there. And I know you do that. Just that's the nature of you.
Yeah.
But the cadence makes it feel right? So it's everything's good. Oh, yep, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. But I think what you have to be ready is if there it isn't, I can correct.
Right. Yeah. It's all correction within the rhythm. And when I say rhythm and I talk about my cadence and my shots, I less imagine, a beat, and I more imagine a heartbeat. And that first beat is the shot, and the second beat is once I'm back on target. I try to have it all be, boom, 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 boom. And if I don't have my shot on target for that last one, well, that's kind of an irregular heartbeat, but it happens, and we can just get back on target.
To clarify this, because the first time Natalie said this in front of a class of people, everybody looked at her like she had a second head. Think of your EKG or your heart monitor where you got the bop, 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 and it's up and down and up and down. And that's her cadence and that. And really, I think that is a genius way to do it. But you also have to be reading that, and you have to pay attention, because if it's not there, we don't pull the trigger just because we're there in the process. We pull the trigger because if we followed our process consistently, we're probably there. Let's confirm, and then we can let that go.
Right. And the last couple of drills, I've been really focusing on finding my dot. And, because I've actually been shooting an iron sight gun on the side a little bit, just trying out some new things. And the iron sights have really been messing me up. So I've been like, oh, hey, I have a dot to find. And that's awesome. But that's been kind of messing me up the last couple of drills. And so this time I tried to kind of instead work on the trigger press and the cadence of it, and all of my shots are in. So
and for everybody asking, Natalie's shooting an LTT Beretta PX4 Storm. That's a nice gun. I had not really shot that a whole lot until the last trip we went on down to Arkansas, and then I shot a little bit today. That's a nice trigger. That DA trigger gets me a little bit, but I can see why you love it, because once you got used to that, that's an amazing trigger, and those guys do great work. So, well, do you think we should shoot it again? What should we focus on as we're shooting now? Let's shoot it again, and then we'll do our homework.
Yeah, I think for me, it's always going to be grip. Anything past 7 yards, it's always grip, especially if you're kind of rolling through a multiple shot string.
Yeah, I think really falling back on my fundamentals, because I know my body knows how to take this shot perfectly. But if I let the distance and I let all of the cognitive load stuff get in the way of that, then I'm going to probably mess up a little bit. So for me, I'm kind of trying to, turn down my ears, turn down all of the background noise, and just shoot like I know how to shoot. Which is kind of hard with the time constraint.
Pretty valuable advice.
That's probably the best advice you're going to get in this whole 15-minute video. However, one thing I want to add and have everybody at home think about is when you just said cognitive load, one thing that I think folks don't really consider is that camera and us explaining what we're doing adds a level of cognitive load that you may or may not see. But one of the best ways to get somebody to mess up that's shooting pretty good is say, hey, what are you focused on? And they're going to start focusing on that. And that just adds takes a little of their cognitive, space out. So understand this isn't as easy as you think it might be. And if it is, then go shoot it on camera and show us. You're going to get a chance to do that at the end of this challenge anyway, but maybe start doing some stuff on camera, because I tell you, the camera adds so much pressure that you won't believe it. To me, it's fun. I enjoy that now. I don't mind missing on camera. Do you mind? It doesn't bug me anymore. The misses still bug me to some degree, but I'm like, you know what? I'm a human, and humans miss. We're not doing 15 takes of this. These are one take, and we go. At the end of all of this, you're going to get to see their targets after they've shot every stage. And at the end of this, you're going to see it by the end of this stage. You're going to see all the other stages too. So, all right, let's step back to 7 again. Put your eyes and ears on. Do you have at least 5 in the gun?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to check.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, shooters. Are you ready?
Yes.
Stand by. 326. And you guys were just on time, just bang, 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 bang. So, all right, let's go check out the targets.
This was second run shot 3.
Okay.
And I watched that whole thing happen, and I could have made the correction, had plenty of time. But again, this is still in for what we're doing. So I was like, let it fly. But that's the interesting thing. Like everything else, I'm starting to open up that spot in the target, and that guy right there.
Natalie, what do you got?
All right, so we probably should have been like marking these, because if you go back and watch the last couple of weeks of videos, you'll see these all show up because I got all of mine in.
Yep.
So I don't know, I think that,
so we know this one was from earlier. So let's just, because for the rest of the video, folks will know that. But again, now we're talking a Q target. This is what they use, which is going to be a little bit wider here. The head box is going to come around here. We just didn't have any of the bottle targets with us when we came down here, so we thought we'd shoot it on this just to make it a little more spicy. So, all right, nice. So let's talk homework. What? So if we're sending somebody to the range this week, what should the focus be on these? We still got to have a good draw, and so some of these are going to become redundant after we go for a while, but we've got to have a good draw. We got to get that grip, and now we've got to maintain that for 5 shots.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's 2 parts. One, I would certainly practice some draws, but I wouldn't be myopic about practicing draws. I would start practicing draws to multiple shots, and then understanding where you're breaking down.
Yeah.
Once you understand if you're fine through 5, well, then you're good to go. Then start really honing in on how tight do you need to make that group.
Yeah.
But if you have some issues, that's where you would address it. So.
Yep. I think when we start shooting multiple shots at a target and do multiple runs at that, it's really important to be marking the flyers, whether they're in there or not. Like Chris's one little flyer, that's still a good hit. That passes, that's a passing hit, it's completely fine. But if you can mark that, so you can note that, so when your next 5 run comes, that one isn't one that you're questioning now. So potentially pulling the target in or walking up to the target, depending on where you're at, what kind of range, and marking those hits so you can keep track of what's going on each run. You don't need a new target every 5 times, but maybe after you chew it up pretty good, maybe you want to put a fresh target up for that last run to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
So what would you have folks work on, Nat?
you know, I think we practice a lot of things at those shorter distances. And once we start to get to 7 and beyond, that's when the wheels start to
wobble.
Maybe not fall off, but wobble at least. So making sure that you have all of those fundamentals hammered down so that you can rely on those, because at distance, especially if you miss, it takes a second to be able to even register that, you know?
Yep.
And after I shot my last iteration, the first thing I was thinking of was I was double checking each of those misses and seeing if that was it, instead of
doing a count.
Yeah.
But they're not misses.
Yep.
They're
Let's
not.
clarify.
But I spent those first 10 valuable seconds after the drill thinking about if I failed or not, when I didn't. And I probably should have been thinking about what did I do so that I can send them home with homework.
Yeah. Now, and that brings up a really good point, Natalie. Something that I think folks do is they tend, at 7 yards, you can still read the target. You can still see your hits. All of that is very natural. And so what a tendency that folks will have is to bang and read that one and bang and read that one. And whether they're moving the gun, they're rarely moving the gun, especially if you have a dot, because you can look right through your window and you're reading that. You don't want to be reading the last shot. You want to be reading your dot for the next shot. Yeah. So you can't take that one back. That round is gone. It's in the bullet trap. It's in the dirt. The easiest way you're going to get it back is with a shovel and a whole lot of time. So what's the point, right? So let that one go and stay in it for the rest of those 5 seconds to make sure that if you did throw one, let that one go for sure in the run. You can figure it out later, but finish your run and stay in the game. Stay mentally present to finish that thing out would be the big thing. So again, get to your range, give this a try, just spend a little bit of time. I would say run it 2, 3, 4 times. If you get to the point where your target's really chewed up, then pick a different spot on your target. And something I like to do is maybe go up to the head zone area, go up top and shoot it up there. Maybe just go up here in this corner, down here in this corner, just pick different spots on the paper so you're not going through a new piece of paper for every run, but you can figure out what's my pattern look like when I'm shooting 5 shots at kind of some sort of speed. And then, you can kind of superimpose that mentally over what the cue target would be. It's a good way to practice. You don't use up as much paper as you'd have to. You're not always constantly out changing targets. But for that last run that you do in this one, make sure that I would say have a fresh target, run 5 and make sure you got all 5 in there and confirm all of the work that you've done to get you to this point. So we're at about the halfway point of the whole FBI qualification. We've said it multiple times at the end of all this, we're going to have a challenge for you. We're going to ask you to go get your camera out, shoot this thing on camera for some prizes that some of our sponsors are donating. And we'll give you all of the rules on that later. We'll give you the time frame for that. You're not missing out anything right now, unless you're watching this video after it's a couple years old, which I guess that could be. So check the date.
And then you could send an email because you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can always get a hold of us one way or the other. But this has been really fun. Good shooting, you guys. See you next time.